All right, we are recording, and I have Julie Ulstrup, the wonderful, fantastic, beautiful Julie Ulstrup with Julie Ulstrup Photography here, and we are going to talk about photography and foxiness. So, Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Terry, thank you, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. I appreciate it. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Well, good. Well, right off the bat, I'd like to know how in the world did you get into photography? Because that's not something most people just say, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm curious, how did your evolution into your profession happen? Did you choose photography as your profession, or did it choose you?
Hmm. I've never thought of it choosing me, but it probably really chose me. And the reality is a lot of people do say that they're photographers. A lot of people with a camera say, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, let me take your picture. But I have been a photographer since I was in high school, which was about 4 years ago. No, I'm kidding. I've been a photographer since I was in high school. But I started my business about 6 years ago. And when you ask me about did photography find me, my grandfather was a professional photographer. And since I was a little girl, I am the oldest grandchild. And so, as you can imagine, I was photographed a lot. So, photography chose me, and I chose photography too, because, like I said, I started pursuing and studying photography when I was in high school.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So when it comes to working with people and the camera,
Hmm.
I know with my cosmetic acupuncture patients, a lot of them avoid the camera. They don't want to be seen because they're not comfortable being seen.
Hmm.
But how do you get people comfortable in front of the camera? How do you bring that out in them?
Well, and that's exactly the key to photography and portrait photography. And what I feel my specialty is really helping people to feel comfortable. And I have this belief that we're all beautiful. Um, and we forget that. And so part of the process when I work with my clients, we start with a consultation and we talk about how do you want to be photographed? What do you want your photographs to evoke? And a lot of people, like your clients, are hesitant about getting in front of the camera. And it's a very vulnerable place to be for a lot of people because really a basic human instinct is to want to be seen, but we have all of this stuff around it. So once I get to know my clients and they get to know me and feel comfortable, sometimes even after their consultation, they're like, I'm not so sure that I'm going to look good or that I want to do this. But I had a woman that I was photographing just the other day. And as we were going through her session, I was showing her some of her portraits. I was encouraging her. I was telling her how beautiful she is. And I was showing her the back of the camera. And at the end of her session, she was reluctant to have a portrait taken, but she knew she really needed one for her website and her social media and all of those things. At the end of her session, she said, Julie, what you say is really true. I feel so beautiful. And those pictures that you made are just gorgeous. So I help people in front of the camera. I help them to realize that they are beautiful because I believe that. I believe we all are. And we need some encouragement to shine. So, yeah.
Amen to that. That's definitely something I preach. I really feel that each of one of us is a divinely created being, and we are gifted with a beauty both inner and outer. And I know with some of the photographs that I've seen of yours, that inner beauty shines through in those portraits that you do. You've really got a magic for that, and I have no idea how you go about that. How do you go about that?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I really believe that people are beautiful, all of us, and I believe that we're meant to shine. And sometimes we're so wrapped up in whatever it is that we believe in some way by something we've been told or something we've heard that we're not quite something, fill in the blank. One of the things I say to people that always makes them laugh, but it makes them laugh because it resonates, is have you ever looked at a person, a photograph of somebody that you love, and said, oh, she should have waited to have her picture taken until she lost 20 pounds? Or, all of those things that we nitpick about our photographs. Nobody who we love ever does that. We do that to ourselves. So it's really a process of getting to know my client, finding a way to help them feel comfortable. And, I talk with them, again, just to increase their comfort level about clothes, about their hair, about their jewelry. So it's really a process of getting to know them. Yeah.
You say most people don't analyze those photographs. I have to say, um, my grandmother may have been a rarity in that regard. Either that or she just had a sick sense of humor, because she had what she lovingly referred to as the family album. And
Uh-huh.
it was a collection of just horrible photographs. Like you weren't ready to have your picture taken, but somebody took the picture and your mouth's wide
Yes.
open and your eyes are crossed.
Mm-hmm.
She loved those kinds of photographs, and so she would actually
Yeah.
put them in an album.
Kind of like the awkward family photos.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that's all good and fun. It is. It's great. And my mom, so interestingly, my grandfather was a professional photographer, and then my mom and my aunt are like, oh, let's just get the pictures in the moment. So it's kind of the thing that you're talking about, where you've got
Mhm.
food in your teeth,
Yep.
or your finger in your ear, and you look not the best. And you know what? Sometimes that happens in my camera, but that's not part of the pictures that I show my clients. My clients, once they get comfortable and I share with them how to pose, how to feel good, how to really fill up their lungs and embody themselves, their spirit, their beauty, like you mentioned that we're talking about, it comes out. And so, of course, yeah, we don't do awkward family photos unless somebody wants to. If that's someone's thing, we can do awkward family photos. But yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like what you really do is you bring out the foxiness in your people. Uh,
Yes, I bring out the foxiness in my
the
people for sure.
the foxiness is kind of a subjective sort of thing. So I like to ask the folks that I interview, what does being foxy mean to you?
It's all inside. It's all, the beautiful divine radiance that we each have and we each embody. The sparkle in our eyes, the sassiness, the way we stand. You'll notice with children, when I photograph children, or almost really when anyone photographs children, they shine all the time because they don't have all of this stuff, these things around them. So we all have this inner beauty. That's what the foxiness is.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever have a time where you weren't necessarily feeling so foxy? And if that was the
Oh.
case, what did you do to bring yourself out of that and reclaim that foxiness?
Yeah. So I actually, yes, I did. I had a, mine was feeling invisible. Mine was feeling invisible. And I went through a really, really nasty divorce. And what because of a lot of different things. My children, who were 16 and 18 at the time, didn't want to have anything to do with me. Wouldn't speak to me. I mean, I was the mom who, you know, taught them to read and taught them to drive, and, you know, snuggled up and read books with them at night and volunteered in their classroom and all of that. And during the time of that I went through a divorce, they would have nothing to do with me. And it was not devastating. It was devastating. It was devastating. I was going to say not devastating because I'm still here, but it was devastating. And there were lots of pieces to the process. What was pivotal and what was a turning point was I walked on the Camino de Santiago in Spain in 2011. And I went into this tiny church after a long day of walking. It was cold, and I was tired, and I was hungry. And it was this small church that like had these really hard benches. And the priest was saying mass in Spanish. And I understand Spanish. I've been living in Spain. I speak Spanish. And all of a sudden I heard the sweetest song singing Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound to save a wretch like me. I'm not a religious person. I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person. And I heard that song and I started weeping. So I'm sitting there on this bench in this church, northern Spain. And after the mass was over, I picked up my camera, because I had my camera with me, picked up my things, took some pictures, and I walked to the back of the church, and I said to my German friend who I'd met on the Camino, who I was walking with, he sings in the choir in his church in Germany. And I said, Tobias, oh my gosh, thank you for singing Amazing Grace. It was beautiful. He's a big German guy. He looks at me, he's like, Julie, I wasn't singing Amazing Grace. He's like, that's an American hymn. That wasn't me. I said, but you heard it. It was like, no. Nobody was singing Amazing Grace. And so at that moment, I knew that was for me. I knew that I was supposed to shine. I knew that all of this, whatever that was on me, it wasn't about me. And I realized at that moment too, that I needed, and I wanted and needed to follow this path that I had started on in high school as a photographer. And I wanted to help people see how beautiful they are and help them to know how beautiful they are. Because once you have that photograph of yourself shining and being so beautiful, you know that it's in you, and it can be a daily reminder. So yeah, that's when it all kind of transformed into my business. And I came back to Colorado and started my business then. So yeah.
You showed me a video, I think you've got it on YouTube, of the work you did with a woman who had cancer and was going through chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you've got that, I'd love to show that video, or at least have a link to that video in the show notes.
Okay.
Because it really demonstrated the beauty that a person can exhibit and that you bring out with them. I mean, she was just absolutely mortified about her treatment and the way she looked and her hair loss. And through this video, you see this transformation of this woman,
mm-hmm.
who just by working with you and having these beautiful, beautiful photographs taken of her, she could then see her own beauty.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that video just absolutely moved my heart. I mean, I was tearing up watching this thing, and I don't feel like I do that easy.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see you tearing up, so I'm glad that you told me that.
Yeah, it's a powerful video. So if you do have that on YouTube, I would love to have the link for that so I can have that in the show notes so that people can actually see these images that you create and the power of photography on how someone can perceive themselves in a different way.
Yeah, I'll absolutely share that. Thank you. I'd be glad to share that. The interesting thing too that she said to me when she came in to have her photographs taken, I said to her, I said, Leah, you have a beautiful smile. And she's like, oh yeah, but I don't like my teeth. It was one of those things. And then, even she was like, oh yeah, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, in our culture, it's like one of those things that's sometimes like second nature that people just, I don't know, if someone compliments us, we are not, or we sometimes aren't willing to accept it. So yes, I will send you that link because and I will also share it with you. I'm working on some other videos. I've had many women who have that transformation, whether or not they're going through chemotherapy treatment, different situations. Sometimes in life, we just don't feel great about the way we look. And yeah, so I'd be happy to share that.
Fantastic. Well, we'll definitely link to that so that our listeners can find those.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to share that.
On the subject of receptivity
Yes.
and accepting a compliment when someone gives you a compliment, I totally agree. There, a lot of my patients, if I were to compliment them, I mean, it's like it just kind of bounces off. And what I'm learning is it's just simply the fact that these are women who are out there giving and giving and giving.
Yeah.
And they give so much, but they don't realize that, to nourish and take care of themselves, they also have to receive. And that
Yeah.
includes a compliment. But they tend to have this, what I call mean girl in their head,
Yeah.
always spewing some kind of nasty criticism or judgment about them. And
Yeah.
so I believe that people like you and me, it's our job to
Yes, it
help
is.
these women. Tell those mean girls to go to hell.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. One of the practices that I've had too, that I learned from a friend is when somebody says, you know, eh, yeah, when someone says, "Oh, you have beautiful eyes," you don't have to say it out loud, but you can, you can say, "Oh, thank you," of course, to the person, but to say to ourselves, "I am that. I am that. I am that," because we are.
You bet. You
Yeah.
bet we are.
Yeah.
What are some of the questions that people ask you about your work? Just some of the common questions, worries, concerns that you generally have to address before they're willing to step in front of your camera.
All of the things we've talked about. I don't like to have my picture taken. I don't like my hair. I'm too fat. All of those things. And so I talk with people about the way that they can feel really good about themselves so that they can look really good. So if we need, or if they want, we can have hair and makeup done. We can, talk with, I can go and help them choose clothes, help them choose the colors that they're going to feel really good in and look really good in. And most of us, we wear things and we're comfortable in things that really accentuate who we are externally. That's all part of it. And then the other piece is just really, really helping people to relax in front of my camera. Because, I've heard people say, another friend of mine, her mom went to have a photograph taken, and she went and she said to the photographer, "Oh, can you make me look, 20 pounds lighter and 10 pounds younger?" And this is what we need to get away from. This photographer said, "Well, I'm not a magician." You know, my response would be, you're gorgeous and we're going to show you how beautiful you are, you know? So it's a lot of reassuring and, you know, helping them if they're not confident in the way that they look. So, yeah.
Going back to this idea of Foxy.
Yes. I love the Foxy idea. That's why I'm super excited to be on your show.
This is a question I ask just about all of the folks that I interview, and
Mhm.
it's this: who embodies foxiness in your world right now?
I will tell you, my clients, my clients, when they see their images, bam, it's crazy. And they leave with a sense. So I had a client yesterday and I photographed her. We did a personal branding session. She is an interior designer. She designs kitchens and baths here in northern Colorado. And she came in yesterday and she saw these 25 gorgeous portraits of her in her shop, in her design studio, and then also some in my outdoor studio. I have an indoor as well as an outdoor studio. And she was blown away. She's a woman in her 60s. And she said to me, Julie, I've never had this. Nobody's ever done this for me. And so having the experience of feeling foxy and then seeing themselves look foxy, it's transformational. So my clients, yeah. And once they're brave enough and once I help them to feel comfortable enough in front of the camera, yeah, they kill it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
What is the one piece of advice that you would give my listeners, who I lovingly refer to as Vulpanistas?
Vulpanista.
Yes, Vulp meaning fox, and
Ah,
still like like a fashionista, somebody who
yeah,
follows fashion. Well, these are Vulpanistas. They follow all things foxy.
I love it.
So, what's the one piece of advice you would have for the Vulpanistas out there about how to stay foxy?
Follow your heart. Do and be and live from your heart center. And when you feel something in your heart and in your gut, follow that because that's going to shine through in anything you do.
Short, sweet, simple, to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do people find you, Julie? How can they get a hold of you if they want to work with you?
My website is julieulstrup.com. Usually we'll have a consultation first. So calling or texting or shooting me an email from my website. Love to get together and chat. We'll meet at my studio, decide what is going to be the best place to show your foxiness, share your foxiness, reveal your foxiness.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
You do amazing work, Julie. I'm excited to be able to share some of that on my website
Yes.
and really get your message out there because you are doing fantastic things out there. And I appreciate you being on the show. We're just about out of time, but thank you because I know you're a busy lady.
Thank you.
You are rocking and rolling, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate you taking the time to be here and chatting with me today.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate the time you've taken with me and the great questions that you've asked about what I do and how I roll. It's been a pleasure.